Orisa is even more unkillable now. Ramach and Wrecking Ball both feel less clunky to play, but Reinhardt, he's the only tank so far who's gotten a actual significant quote-unquote buff. This is pretty good. Let me explain why. Reinhardt's a brawl hero. He has armor and a considerable amount of HP. He does enormous damage at close range, but his range cuts off rather quickly. At 10 meters, he can no longer hit people with his rocket hammer. So then his only source is Fire Strike, which is unreliable to damage characters at long range. This is where his barrier comes into play. He uses his barrier's shield health in order to help close the gap between him and, say, projectile ranged heroes, so that way he can get into close range. Having less armor health means that he is easier to kill while he is in the brawl, which he's already difficult to kill when he's in the brawl. He's the king of it. But increasing his shield health means that he can more reliably get closer to the fight without losing as much HP and be able to brawl longer. So this is overall, because he received a reduction to his armor health pool earlier in Overwatch 2's lives, and now they are increasing the shield health by a substantial amount, 200 HP, relative to the 30 armor that he took away. It's pretty significant. So this should help him easier to close the gaps. The Soldierin change makes her less random, more predictable shots for the beginning, because she has less overall spread, and the shots don't increase the spread so much. Overall, it's just like a nothing change. Torbjorn, the secondary fire spread being reduced, the turret being nerfed, and overloaded reloading ammo. This is all just like straight up, like, tanks are worse to play against Torbjorn, because he's always going to be able to shotgun you immediately when you dive on him, because overload reloads it, and the spread is reduced, which means you're going to hit bullets more reliably on them. And they also didn't do any damage to that specific secondary fire. They wanted Torbjorn to be better and more consistent against smaller, squishier heroes. Then reducing the spread is a fine way to go, and reloading the ammo, that's just a bad change, I think, 'cause that's like only affecting tanks pretty much. Well, dive tanks, I mean. So you reduce the spread, and you can reduce it more. You can reduce it further, so that way it's more reliable to hit squishier targets with it, smaller targets. But then what you do is you take away one of the projectiles, make the projectiles do less damage, or you make the projectiles bigger and do less damage, and instead of reducing the spread. In order to make it more reliable on squishier targets. But right now, the Torbjorn change, this just makes tanks worse to play in general. The Soldier change, horrible. Hit scans already insanely strong in this game. I play on console, and on console, they're strong. Kind of insane, where a platform where you can't even aim very well at all, and nobody can, and they're still some of the strongest heroes in the game. That's kind of like dumb. Increasing his damage is whatever. Increasing his Helix rocket is insane. Burst damage is the king of this game. Increasing healing in the game is just extremely bad overall. There's already too much healing. So overall, the Soldier changes, really bad, I'd say. The Symmetra changes, these are my favorite, because I suggested this Symmetra change. Alright, let me tell you why. I suggested the Symmetra change actually on a Sombra subreddit as a passing remark. I want to do a video on it later, but it looks like the devs actually caught me before I could put out a video about it. So, the change that I wanted to make was that Sombra did more damage to revealed enemies instead of hacked ones. So that way she was less niche of a pick and more applicable in different situations. The Symmetra change was one that they revealed the heroes, which they are now doing, which is awesome. I love it. The problem is that what they are doing is reducing the overall damage of the turrets, which is a okay way of going about it. Unfortunately, it does not get rid of the real problem that casual players and less quote-unquote skilled players of Overwatch have with Symmetra, and the problem is car washes. Putting down multiple sentry turrets will latch onto a single person at a time. And my change when I suggested this was that the sentry turrets would be actually usable as sentries and discouraged from being used as car washes because they would no longer be able to latch onto the same target. So you can't just put all three of them on that bridge above Volskaya on the first point. Instead, you would branch them out, putting one there, putting one in the window to the top left, putting another one to the right in the flank area, which players could go around. So that way you'd be alerted to where the enemy team is going. And it would also alert your team. It would give her more utility and open her up to more common usage and less of a niche. Finally, we got Kiriko. So there's going to be she's going to be healing more constantly in the game, which is bad, more healing in the game. And then we got Zenyatta, and we got some pretty big nerfs. So instead of reducing his projectiles range, giving it fall off, because that would create inconsistency with projectiles during the game, because he would have the only projectile with fall off, but he's dangerous at close range and far range. They're giving discard a shorter range, that way he can't discard from as far away, but that's not the problem. The people who are complaining about Zenyatta are tank players who get in close. This nerfs him against Widowmaker and Ana and Cassidy and Soldier, all those far away ranged characters. But they weren't complaining about Discord, they were complaining about the volley. They were complaining about getting one shot from forever away instantly because of the volley. So the Discord changes nothing for the range battle of the people that it is affecting, and it doesn't change anything for the tank battle that people are actually complaining about. It's just a fucking awful change where they hear people complaining about something, and so they decide to nerf it, but they don't fucking pay attention to who is asking for the nerf and who it's affecting. God. Anyway, subscribe for the Mercy video coming out later that I've been working on. Sorry it's been taking so long. I just, you know, Mercy mains are a massive part of the community, and if I get something, like, wrong, I'm gonna get ostracized for it. Which is fine, who cares. Lifeguard Mercy is inside the shop right now. I would love to buy that, pay 20 bucks for a skin, and then never use it, because I got the pink Mercy skin, and I literally never changed my skin at all for any other reason. And then, that was all the balance changes. There's still the Cassidy bug fix change, which affects Valkyrie, Sigma Flux, and there was one other thing that I've affected, but I mean it's bug fix. It's not listed as balance change. And then guess what? Kiriko's still one of the most buggiest heroes in the game. Guess what? Doomfist also is still one of the buggiest heroes in the game. It's almost like this game isn't a finished project. It's not a finished product, and they're not fixing it as the live service goes on, and they keep using balance changes as seasonal content when realistically it should be balancing the game. If they're going to be using it as like spectacle, as like come back to the mid-season because Cassidy got this big old change, there are 37 heroes in the roster and like 9 of them max get changed in any balance update. So like less than half the player base is even affected, and who would even care? And then the balance changes are mostly, it's like one character gets a major rework, another character gets like a minor big change, and the rest of them get like one stat difference. Who cares? Lastly, be on the lookout for any of my game updates that I put out. I've been working on making the Reinhardt talent tree in Unreal Engine, and I should put out a video about that soon. See y'all in the next episode. See ya.